Bitcoin is getting ready for one of the largest breakouts, and while this is happening, I am preparing with a major multi-million dollar Ethereum long position because I am seeing something happening on Ethereum that most people are not paying attention towards. This is a trade that, in my opinion, is going to be absolutely life-changing. I have bet over $4 million on this trade, and on today's update video, I'm just going to be giving you a big breakdown about what is exactly happening on Bitcoin right now, how history is yet again repeating on Bitcoin, how we are obviously seeing a major trap getting created on Bitcoin in terms of a liquidity grab, how this also is exactly playing out on Ethereum, and how this also has played out many times before on Bitcoin, how the global money supply is forecasting the exact next move right here, and much more important stuff and data points, obviously, that are telling us something about what is about to be happening next year. So don't forget to once again slam that like button back above 1,000 likes. That will be highly appreciated. And with that being said, let me jump straight away in towards today's update video. And honestly, to kick off the video, we of course have seen a very strong bounce on the lower side ever since we got the news that the war is most likely very short-lived. And that is of course a very great thing for all markets. I mean, Bitcoin straight away bounced, and actually we're starting to see straight away a new consolidation phase emerge on the Bitcoin price. We are seeing clearly lower lows getting created and lower highs, so we're trading in somewhat of a bull flag pattern. And of course, if I'm zooming out, I can see this exact same pattern played out many times before on Bitcoin as well here. I mean, you can clearly see it last time around, while we of course were in the calm before the storm towards breaking towards about $110,000, we also created the exact same consolidation phase. Of course, this pattern was way longer. Now this time around it's way smaller, but you have to understand on the bigger perspective. Basically, this is an entire consolidation phase where I'm currently looking at. This over here is about 200 days, once again, of consolidation for Bitcoin. And then over here, this phase was about also 230 days before we saw the breakout. So yeah, you can compare these consolidation phases definitely towards each other, and you can just see on this chart as well here, ever since we got the Bitcoin spot ETF, Bitcoin started to move very differently. It started to move in waves here, and once again, every single time whenever we break above that critical resistance on the top side, which we are clearly about to be doing right now, like you can see, we do see that next major move getting initiated towards the upside. So I won't be surprised that something similar is once again going to be happening. And of course, if that happens, it is going to be sending the Bitcoin price much higher. And personally, I've showed you and talked about my price target many times already before. But personally, I think a realistic target for this next move towards the upside is going to be to this range here on the top side, which is going to be about $130,000 to about $140,000. And at that point, I think the risk of actually holding, especially altcoins, is going to be quite big here. But I also do think that on this last run towards the upside, we're going to be definitely get some more interest coming in towards Ethereum. I mean, we're starting to see the shift already happen, right? We're starting to see the shift happening on the Ethereum ETF here. BlackRock is aggressively accumulating Ethereum. Yesterday they bought over $98 million, so they probably do know something that we don't. And also on the Ethereum balance of accumulation addresses, it is rapidly increasing, and you can literally see it is actually going parabolic. So while we're seeing Ethereum accumulation going absolutely parabolic, I mean, the chart is telling exactly the same story. We bounced from the low in the markets, which was of course the major support box here. Of course, I have added towards my long positions on ETH here. I've exactly bought somewhere around the bottom, not the exact bottom, but very closely towards the bottom. I bought about $800,000 worth of ETH with a 6x leverage, which comes down to about $4.4 million that I bought on the market. And I mean, my trade is already up over $330,000. I already took in about $43,000 in profit. And guys, if you right now want to be trading also Ethereum of any of these other cryptocurrencies, don't forget to check out first of all BTTC in the link description of today's video, where you can get an insane 10% deposit bonus on your first deposit towards the exchange. If you feel like trading on Bybit or whatsoever, they have very small deposit bonuses, but still it's also nice to be trading over there. You can check it out also in the link description of today's video. But anyways, yeah, I am running this trade here, and I've got some multiple take profit targets set up here for the ones that don't. For the ones that do want to be doing it, I will be taking a first partial profit, about 30 to 40% of my trade on 2660, and then around that $3,000 mark, I will take another 40% out here, and the last 20% of my trade, so about $1 million in size, I will just leave it running up to $4,000, because ultimately for Ethereum, $4,000 is my ultimate take profit target. But along the way up here, especially around the 3K region, we just have a very major level of resistance where I just want to be taking off some very big profits off the table, because yeah, the risk is for me too high to hold such a big trade open for such a long period of time here. But yeah, we can currently exactly see, first of all, we create that fake out on the top side. Now we create that fake out on the lower side. And usually what you're expecting next there, just like this chart also shows you, is a continuation towards the upside. We exactly grab the liquidity. And also, if you're just looking at Bitcoin funding rates here, and I'm going to be going in towards ETH in a second as well here, you just can clearly see here that we are having close to negative funding rates, and always whenever there's a peak in the market, funding rates spike towards the upside. That is always corresponds with highs in the market. That always corresponds with tops in the market. And also for Ethereum, let me show you this. The funding rates on ETH also, they always spike whenever we have a top in the market. But of course, now we are close to zero, sometimes even negative. It shows you it's a very great time of accumulation. And also, if I go back in time here, whenever we see major negative funding rates, just like we saw over here, it usually corresponds with the bottom, obviously, in the market. So yeah, very exciting times ahead of ourselves. And this once again also shows you there's a very big opportunity for a big bounce towards the upside. So I'm very excited for my Ethereum trade here. Obviously, also for Bitcoin, if I'm looking at the liquidity heat map, there's a lot of liquidity piling up above us. Just like I told you, the funding rates remain to be close to zero or even negative. Yesterday, we had an insane amount of inflows on the spot Bitcoin ETF yet again here. I mean, the ETFs are continuously buying and buying and buying, and they're obviously not stopping at this moment of time here. So big accumulation happening over there. Still, we're creating this inverse head and shoulders pattern on Bitcoin, which if we're going to be breaking above this 110k level, is obviously going to be flying towards the upside. So the charts are very obvious. On the 3-day time frame, we're creating a symmetrical triangle. We had this major fake out on the lower side, but of course this happens most of the times here. Also, in this big consolidation phase here towards the downside, this bull flag pattern, we also saw some major liquidity grabs on the lower side, but ultimately those were the best opportunities. And once again, we have seen this a couple times already. We saw over here a big liquidity grab, we saw over here a big liquidity grab, and yeah, that is just exactly what happens in these markets. You get fooled, you get trapped. Of course, this time around it was a war trap, but ultimately these are the things you want to be paying attention towards here. And yes, really, whenever we're going to be pushing higher, I do think the most important resistance is going to be $110,000. Why? Is because this has been the level where we got rejected from multiple times here. But whenever we're going to confirm the break above this level is where we're going to be confirming the next big continuation higher. But yeah. Anyways, I've got nothing more to talk about the market right now here. These are my exact thoughts. This is my exact trade I'm taking. Yeah, I truly believe ETH is going to be running as well here, since we just had that perfect fake out, the perfect liquidity grab. And yeah, just like most people have said, this is going to be the most hated rally. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching towards this amazing new update video. Slap on that like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.